Hello, you amazing friends. I'm very honored to be with legendary Zev from Washington, D.C. How you doing today, Zev?
I'm doing great. It's pouring outside, but it's summertime, and I love summertime. Summer in Washington, early summer is lovely, and I love summer rain. So as long as
And
we
what
don't get caught off by the thunder, and it could be the thunder coming from the White House or coming from down there, which is only 15 miles down the road. So who knows what kind of rays are gonna shoot at us. Right? They read our minds, Edward. They read our minds.
so just to, I got to say this right. I say this all the time. So just to clarify, you live literally 15 miles from the White House. Is it? You say you just go out, turn left or something or right, and you're
For
there.
real, you literally go up my street, and I live in the northern suburbs. But you turn right, you go straight, turn right, and you go straight. You come to the White House.
Oh my God, appreciate it. By the way, we've got Lynette Park who says, hello, leaders. Hello, Lynette. We love you. If you've just come in, smash that like, share, and comment. And we're honored to have amazing Zev with us. Now, I've got to make another remark as well. It's summer for you. Right now, you can tell I'm dressed up like I'm at the snow. It is freezing in Sydney right now. It's our winter here.
Oh my goodness! I remember. Look, I'm not sure I feel sorry for you because this is the first year that I watched Australia in the summer and the winter and the summer. And I saw everybody's in their bathing suits. Everybody's at Bondi Beach. Everybody. Me, I'm freezing my ass off here in Washington, shoveling snow. So you know what? I'm happy, but I wish for warmer days for you.
Oh
Warmer days.
my God. We got love you. And also, too, big wave to James Patron. We got James watching us. James, we love you. Now, Zev, you're a relationship coach and expert. We've had a crazy 2 years of lockdowns. What have you learnt about relationships in the past 2 years of crazy lockdowns and crazy stuff? What are some of your thoughts you'll have to share with us, Zev?
I mean, there are some common sense parts to it, and the common sense parts are relationships that were in reasonable shape before enforced lockdowns all over the world seemed to fare pretty okay. They were challenged in ways that they never were, but they had their act together in a lot of ways, and they knew how to keep it together. I recently asked this question in a poll, and the answers are actually coming out next week, and it's kind of interesting. Some people feel that people prevailed pretty well. There are a lot of people who talk about their friends that have broken up. But what I find is people are having a very hard time talking about that it actually did affect them in the way that it did, because it really put a whammy on couples, no matter what shape you're in. Look, if you were in bad shape or, God forbid, abusive, there are going to be horror stories that they'll probably make into movies. And we'll see them, in the next few years. But I think it affected everybody. If you're human, being locked up with the same person or the same family, it's going to get you eventually. And I saw plenty of divorces, plenty of separations. I saw people leave. I saw people make arrangements to leave and not even tell their spouse. Literally, they found their apartment virtually. They went on some virtual tours, and then they packed up their stuff and they called from their new place. I'm no longer there. That kind of thing. But again, many people prevailed and did very well, and more power to them. It wasn't easy for any of us, and we learned way too much about each other, I think, than we ever thought we might want to, and way beyond bathroom habits and things like that into the real zone. The whole issue of the door's closed and it's not opening, and we have to make do. So either Netflix is going to save us or we're going to save us. You name it. Which one? Something. Baseball, rugby. And old reruns. I saw reruns till I was ready to crawl down and put my head in the floor. I'm serious. I did.
Well,
You know what? People also sleep. People's sleep was affected in a very. Speaking for myself, who's not a good sleeper anyway. I mean, my sleep is still messed up. We've become night owls, and hard to get up. We have to push ourselves out. That's just the way it is. Humans were put through a test, and many of us passed, and many failed. I hope
wow.
for the best for them because people took a little more than they had to. Remember, people stayed in relationships before COVID and all that for many reasons, economic, the role models of their parents. You shouldn't get divorced. You shouldn't get. So imagine what it was like for them to have no option. The good part is now free at last. You know, until the next thing. I don't know. They're making a big deal of monkeypox here. They're getting crazy. All of a sudden they're going, uh-oh, the CDC is putting out a thing on monkeypox. So it says, well, don't, don't sleep with people that you're not too sure of.
Uh,
And then maybe you might save yourself.
I think that's good advice anyway. I think you should never sleep with anyone unless you're really, really sure about it. That's my piece of
Especially
advice.
these days, because I mean, we're talking about a DNA gene pool that only God knows. Only God knows.
Now, I just want to say to all our viewers, if you've just come in, a big thank you. We're honored to have Zev with us. Smash that like, sharing, comment. Look, James Petroni, big welcome. We got Dottie Tendari. We got Fred Cohen from North Carolina. Welcome. And we've got Mark Burns in Wisconsin. It's 50 out. We've got Janali, Shakila, and we got heaps more. So keep it all going. We've got a great question that's come in from James Petrone. James has asked you a question, Zev, and love to hear it. What advice do you have to someone who struggles with relationships due to a disability? What are your thoughts on that one, Zev?
Well, it's according to the disability, but people with disabilities have struggled in all areas. So I'm so happy that he's bringing it out, that a relationship struggle due to disabilities, because you don't really hear about it. It's not a situation where people raise their hand, and go, I'm a disabled person and, I have relationship problems. So more power to you for bringing this out, for you and for the people that struggle with this. And I encourage you, please bring it out more, because it's such an important issue that needs to be addressed, but it needs to be specifically, it's a specific thing. What in relation to the disability is the problem with the relationship? And I think that needs to be addressed and can be addressed for sure, because I know plenty of people with disabilities that are reasonably together and some that are not. So I hope that sheds a little light on it. I encourage, hey, call me up anytime and please ask me. I would be happy to dive into that particular topic, because again, it's not one that's addressed in the norm.
Brilliant. And the other thing I was going to ask you, now I think I'm wrong, Hibbs. Again, you're the relationship expert, so I think I'm wrong. But I've taken the viewpoint that with the whole 2 years of lockdowns and all that type of thing, it would speed up the inevitable. My thinking was if you got a good relationship, it'll probably work out. If your relationship ended during the lockdowns, it probably would have ended later. It just ended now instead of 5 or 10 years later. Is that a valid viewpoint, or do you think that's just
I think it's a valid viewpoint, and I think it also sheds light on the whole fact of the pandemic, as bad as it was, and as awful and terrible as lockdowns were. There were some things that came out during these things our children were learning in school that we didn't know about.
Yeah.
That all of a sudden we zeroed in on virtually, that blew millions of people's minds. And I think back to your question, I'm sure it did. I'm sure, a relationship that was already on the struggle was probably pressed to the point where some people just can't deal with it. anymore, and inevitably it ended a bit early. The struggle could have gone on for a long time, and you're taking a very wonderful look at it, kind of like I feel for these people, and maybe it helped them so they can find themselves a new partner who maybe makes them happy or gets them help before they find a new partner, and make yourself happy, because sometimes you have to extricate yourself. You have to become who you're not to find out who you are. And sometimes breaking up is the thing that does that. And that's a consequence. We find out how strong we are and how weak we're frail. We're humans. We can only be humans. And I think that's a big part of all this. Humanity stuff really came flying out in a forced choice. This was not, we raised our hand for an experiment. Can I participate in a lockdown experiment? No, thank you. But it's a forced choice, and all of us were put in kind of on a level playing field. Same thing. However, what was going on, it was much different. Strong relationships prevailed, weak relationships, abusive relationships, again, they're scary. And I hear terrible horror stories about that. So, the thing about, for me, is it bothers me that people are not willing to talk about, more so than not. They don't want, they want to just iron it out and, it's over now. We can just go on and we can just move on. No, you can't. You said a lot of stuff during that time. You screamed a lot of horrible things. And guess what? I heard them, and it hurt me. It didn't soothe me. It hurt the hell out of me. And we can't just, words are strong. Words have power, and they can ruin a relationship, or they can make relationships the most wonderful things if we know how to use them. But people said some pretty drastic, nasty, dastardly things to each other, and you can't just do the Etch-a-Sketch, and wipe it all, shake the screen and wipe it all clean. It endures, and it needs to be addressed.
Wow. It's funny. One of the biggest things that I learned from the whole years of lockdown, the rest is it's never good to say what you're always thinking. It's always good to relax and take it easy. And I found that the people that got into trouble the most are the ones that don't think. They just say weird stuff. They blurt it out. They don't think about the other person that they're talking to, or they're just putting themselves first. Now, I've been watching a lot of videos on narcissists lately. Great topic. Narcissism, right?
There's a lot about it. There was a lot about it before, but there's a lot about it now because it really came out. I mean, imagine being stuck with a narcissist, somebody who me. Even if I'm cool and I'm manipulative and I fool you and I charm you, I'm ruling you, I'm controlling you, and it some of the times. I know it all the time. Imagine what it's like to be in that kind of trap. It's a horror story of epic proportions, and you need to extricate yourself, or at least if you feel. They used to say, if you feel like an alcoholic, you probably are one. Well, if you're with a narcissist, I'd say you need to take a time out, but do it quietly. Don't make a big giant fuss and tell this person that you're now going to extricate yourself from them, because if you do that, you will bring out the beast. If you leave a narcissist, you will pay a hefty price. There's planning, that needs to take place. Just like you said, a lot of people just say what's on their mind. Like there's an expression, what's on the lung is on the tongue, and sometimes, that's not a very healthy thing, especially when it comes to mean, nasty, cruel narcissists who will take you for your money, your children, and haunt you for years after. I know so many cases that would make you cry. How terrible, how just terrible the after. They knew they had to leave, they left, and they paid a huge, price. So I say, if you're going to leave a narcissist, do it with support, do it with help, put your support in place, try to keep your mouth, your feelings to yourself, and speak to a professional, and find a way to slide out as opposed to abruptly go out, or else you're going to pay. You're going to pay. Freedom, freedom has a price for all of us in everything. But in this case of wonderful person and narcissist controlling them, freedom has a big price. Be careful, please.
Wow. It's where that came on. Wonderful Lassie and I were having great conversations and tragic conversations in that we're not relationship coaches by any stretch. We're LinkedIn influencer coaches around a business network, but we've had so many people during the past few years having problems with narcissists, be it they're in a relationship with a narcissist, they're dealing with a fallout of a narcissist. And it's quite tragic when you see a lot of it. Or they have a child who's a narcissist, right? And how do I manage a child?
Look, they dealt with that on the Twilight Zone, on the old show, The Twilight Zone even. Yeah. They even had that, where he was trying to tell you that this kid, he controls everybody. He had this thing where in his mind, he could light you on fire, or he could choke you because he was the one. He was in control, and I think control is the big issue. And look, read up on it before you take action. We got bookstores, we got virtual bookstores. Get a book. Just educate yourself before you make a move, so you don't pay the hefty price that some people have to pay for years. And their children, unfortunately, pay the harder price. They pay the worst price of all, in between the mess, and the muck. They don't get what they need. That's for sure.
Wow. I just want to check in with our viewers. If you've just come in, a big thank you. We've got Dare, we've got Sarimi from Facebook. Good seeing you. We've got Donald, Savard. We've got Sean O'Neill, James Petroni, Chester Swanson, Saria Actor. We've got a great group. So if you've just come in, smash that like, share, and comment. If you're watching the recording as well, please connect with wonderful Zev. Now, Zev, you're an amazing guy. You're a relationship coach and everything. Tell us a bit how you work and how you actually help people, and what the sort of process is for people getting in contact with you and more.
Well, a lot of people, they find me online. I do offer all my connections a free opportunity, a free session to really talk it out and to try to break through, to try to find those particular points that are ones that are the hassle, the things, and to see, is this something that we can work through, or is this something we can? And if we can't, then we try to get your partner on board, which is another big challenge of getting help. So I approach it two ways. If a spouse is having trouble, or a partner is having trouble getting this other person on board, then I tell them, forget about doing that. Go on board yourself. Change yourself from within, and your life will change. A lot of people don't realize that because they're so stuck in this whole thing. They need
just on that point, I couldn't agree with you more, because what I found is, I find when you change yourself, the world changes around you. So I've improved a lot of things in my whole life, the relationship and more, because I've changed. And I think I couldn't agree with you more. I think it all starts with you changing. I suppose if you change and become a different person, then that would transform relationships and more around you, wouldn't it, Zev?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, imagine, Paul and Jane. They're in this, life is like a play, and they go home every night, and the play is this: she cooks dinner, he sits on the TV and watches it, till he falls into the TV. Yeah. And she wants a relationship. She wants some interchange. She wants to talk. Hey, hello, can we talk? I'm watching a show, I'm busy. Call Zev. What would Zev tell them? Zev would tell them, try to get them to try to do something together, try to get them to go out and do something. But if you can't, here's the thing to do. do something on your own and make it loud and clear, like ring the bell. Hello, guess what? I'm going to take a class and stained glass windows. I'm going to learn how to do stained glass windows. Okay, great. When that day comes on that Wednesday, when it's time for you to go out and do that, and you announce that you're not going to be there, that's where the change is going to happen. That's where change begins, right there, because you've, not just thought about it, now you've moved. And that's what it's about. And that's what I try to help people through, 12 modules that I take, people through, understanding what the issues are, verbalizing. I think people have trouble verbalizing. Verbalizing can be the spice of life. It can make you really happy. It can be really sexy, or it can be really terrible, because, I'm sick of your damn, this is not enough, and off to those separate, every night, which happened a lot also in lockdown. People didn't leave their house. They just left their bedroom, because they couldn't find the way to communicate what they really, really deeply want to, and sometimes it takes help. Need somebody from the outside. A lot of people don't realize that. They think they can change. They go, I'll change, I promise, I'll do. And 2 years later, it takes 2 years of their life until they end up going, nope, we're going to somebody, we're going to help them. And then you have to drag somebody, to a place. That's just not the way to go. Help, is available. Avail yourself of it. And if they won't do it and you won't do it together, do it yourself, because that's a faster way to your happiness, and fulfillment in your life. That's where you'll find it.
It's funny. This reminds me of some very old friends of mine. I'll deliberately hide their details because I don't want anyone figuring it out. But some very old friends and clients of ours from a long time ago. Now, what was interesting? They're married, but what was interesting is that when they met, one of the people was actually married. So they originally started having an affair, then a separation occurred, then the character ended up divorcing, and they ended up getting married and being together, right? Now, you'd say, of course, cheating and affairs are a very bad thing. And the ex, partner of the person that cheated, that moved on and got married and all that, was always, of course, making that point, saying, you cheated on me, you're terrible, how dare you do this to the kids, blah, blah, blah. However, the reply from the perpetrator, you would say, right, if I can put victim and perpetrator on it. And this one has always stuck in my mind, right? And whilst I'm not condoning what they did, they had a really reasonable defense that got you thinking, right? And this is the defense that always stuck with me is, Ed, I tried so many times. I asked them to go to relationship counseling. I tried to take them on holidays. I tried all these things. And they said no, no, and no. And they were just nonstop mean to me. And one day I just met someone and it just happened from there. Now, it's funny. It was just now, again, there's clearly this person did the wrong thing. There's a victim and a perpetrator. But when I heard that reasoning, that's always made an impression on me, because the perpetrator in this case gave the other person a chance to improve and they didn't take it. So can the person, cry
forgive?
Can the situation?
Forgive? Can you forgive? I mean, usually the classic thing that happens is someone goes out and has an affair, and it's found out, and they apologize, and then while they're apologizing, they get punished for a long time. The punishment is long. They walk the plank without jumping in for a long. Imagine the plank just keeps going and going and going. It doesn't end. You did this to me. And it's about forgiveness. It's about coming to an end of, forgiveness has to be, action oriented. You have to show that okay, I stepped out, I made a mistake, I'm human. If there's room in this life for forgiveness, then I'm ready, to step up and, live our life in a new way. And let's try to push on, but not with a punishment every single day. That just won't happen. Some people manage to get through that and stop the punishment and realize that yes, people are human and they held on to it. And yes, it's very hurtful. I'm not condoning anything about it. Um,
No, of course.
but what I'm saying is that, again, we're human. If you have the capacity to forgive and you have the capacity to be an action-oriented apologizer, where you show the person that you really care about them and that you really all along wanted life with them, they just weren't listening, or it just wasn't working, or something wasn't connecting, then they have a chance to move on. I've seen both happen. I've seen them move on, and I've seen them reach that point. Oh, I've seen situations like that where it's the things are astonishing. Keyword, people who put keyword things to see whether somebody was cheating on the, because then it brings up the whole issue of what's infidelity, right? And like I just saw, and I didn't even read it. It was a Cosmo thing, which I don't read too much, but it said, what is true infidelity? And I can only imagine, everybody has, you can write, you can show dirty pictures over the, send pictures of yourself. You can actually, meet in a hotel. I mean, there are a lot of ways to do this. What the definition is, I'm really not, ready to say that I know what the definition is. But I know what the answer is, and the answer is found somewhere in the forgiveness neighborhood. And if you can't live in the forgiveness neighborhood and it's not possible, then it's time. Then move on, learn a lesson, move on. The kids are going to, be, if there's no kids, great, even better. If they're kids, the kids are going to suffer a bit. But if two people work, unlike the narcissist who works against everybody, then the children can have, a reasonable way to manage and move on and find a way to be between the two of them, and because care about your kids, care about your kids. You brought them into the world. You got to deal with them. Don't hurt them for the rest of their life so they end up repeating the same thing that you did. You got to invest time, and this is part of the decision. Part of the decision that a narcissist never thinks about. The other person usually is thinking about it. So again, there's room for forgiveness if there is. Nobody should be forced to forgive anybody. It takes time, it takes understanding, and it also takes action that shows that you've changed, or that you've learned your lesson and you understand. It's time to move on. Let's plan a vacation. Let's go away, somewhere and be together and see if we can, without punishing each other and without that. So,
wow, beautiful. And just to check in with our fans, we've got Viviana Munoz, who loves you. So make sure you connect.
Hey, Viviana, she's fabulous. She's a fabulous coach. Fabulous.
And we got Sandy Diaz. We got Sandy Diaz with us. Might be seeing Sandy tomorrow at a meet up in Sydney. So great seeing you, Sandy Diaz. We've got amazing Rodrigo Nunes Cal from Brazil. Great seeing you. We've got a great, amazing crowd. So I was going to say, thank you for tuning in. Please like, share, and comment. And Zev, I was going to say, as we wind up, can we please get some wonderful closing thoughts and insights from you? What is on your mind? What tips do you want to leave us? And what do you want to implant in our minds going forward?
I think that a lot of people play down communication and listening, but it's a simple thing. We have one nose, we got two ears. There's a reason for that. We need to listen to each other, really listen, not half-ass listen, because if you listen, then you know that somebody's in pain. If you're kind of half in there and half not, you're not hearing the pain. You can't possibly understand. And that has to be communicated. And for those of you out there who aren't communicating your hurt and telling the other person and just kind of sucking it up, and it gets worse every day, and you turn yourself into an explosion machine, ready to explode or implode, it's because you need to take a responsibility in putting forth the words that say, this isn't working, we need to do something. Doesn't mean you have to go to a therapist. Doesn't mean, it means you have to do something. And that, a lot of people are holding that in because they have a lot of fears about being alone, and they have fears about economics, and that fear is about a lot of things. But you won't be happy if you're sitting, drowning in a puddle of anger, built on anger, poured in every day, compounded daily, like at the bank. It only gets worse. Get it out, figure it out, or figure out that you can't be with each other. But that comes through saying it. You got to say it. And if your needs aren't being met, list them. What do you want? I need this. I need hugs. I need sex. I need this. Whatever it is, say what you need. Don't keep it to yourself. We're not mind readers, thank goodness. Because I would be in a completely different profession, not one I'd want to be in. I would bow out and probably go into the construction business rather than do that. We're not mind readers. We don't, just because we live together, we don't read into each other's minds. And anybody who thinks so is on the wrong track. It comes from the mouth to the ears, and from the ears to the mouth. That's the tail. That's where it begins, and that's where it has to.
Brilliant,
That's
Zev.
Absolutely wisdom.
Love it. Now, I just want to say as well, Zev, so if people are listening to you, they want help with their relationships, they can get in contact with you over LinkedIn and more, can't they, Zev?
They can find me on LinkedIn. They can go to Zev at Zev Halpern and email me. They can go to zevhalpern.com to my website and reach me through there. Just Google Zev Halpern. A lot of stuff is going to come up, and you will find your way to me. And I encourage you to do so. Love to help anybody who wants to be helped.
Zev, I just want to say thank you for your time. Really appreciate you. I just want to get a final closing thought from you before I hit the end broadcast key and wish our fans and viewers an amazing day and evening ever.
My closing thought is, again, look out, listen to your children. If you have children, take care of these children. Because they are like sponges. And if you think that they don't hear you fighting, and if you think that they don't hear the friction, you're wrong. At a very young age, they soak this stuff in, and it's incumbent upon us as responsible adults and not narcissistic, or selfish adults, to look out for the needs of the things that we brought into this world, so that they don't have to suffer mistakes that we might have made. We can soften the blow. Let's please do it, and let's care about the safety of our children a little more than we are, because that's also, become a major thing. Everybody's got bodyguards. Everybody's got, this. Everybody's, big. Everybody's got security people, and the school door's wide open. That's quite bothersome. And I know it's a big topic now, but it should be a huge topic. Huge amounts of money should be spent on protecting a building. You can do it. We can do it. Let's do it. It's on my mind because it hurt. It's very hurtful, to see that kind of thing, and I would ask for you one more indulgence. Fentanyl is flowing through the borders of every country, and parents are walking into their kids' rooms every day, every weekend, finding dead children because of fake drugs, that look like something else. We really need to deal with this issue. It's a painful issue. It's a personal issue for me, and it's a platform that I need to talk about. And I do, and I will. So on a happy note, care about your children. Watch, listen, because you don't have to be a helicopter parent. Just be the kind of parent that is in the know and isn't surprised about what they come to find out. And our world will be better if us adults pay more attention.
We love you, Zev. Great words there. Friends, thank you for watching. Zev, appreciate you.
Thank you.
Like,
Always,
comment.
Ed. A pleasure
Thank
to
you.
talk to you. Thank
Pleasure.
you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so
Bye.
much.